time signatures, also known as irregular time signatures, have been around as long as music has been around. They are in the roots of the folk music of the countries from Eastern Europe, Greece, Turkey, Israel, and a few others. One of the countries which has probably the most amount of odd time signatures in its folk music is Bulgaria. The rich folk tradition and diversity of styles and the complexity of the folk music coming from that part of the world is immense. Being on the crossroad of three continents, the music has been influenced and has influenced so many musicians from all over the world for centuries. The uniqueness of the irregular rhythms and beats, as well as their complexity, has been a subject of interest for musicians and composers in virtually any style of music for a long time, from Bela Bartok to Dave Brubeck, Led Zeppelin, Frank Zappa, Metallica, and Rush. Artists have been trying to not only understand but also to incorporate them into their music. Very few, though, have become comfortable with the odd time signatures. My name is Errol Rakipov, and I was born in Bulgaria, where I grew up with the odd time signatures. I never really paid that much attention to the odd times and the difference between them and the regular meters, since I simply grew up in the musical environment where you could hear them all the time, everywhere, in pretty much any style of music. After graduating from the music school and the music academy back in Bulgaria, I came to the United States to study jazz music at Berklee College of Music, and after that, completing my master's degree in jazz at the University of Miami, Florida. It wasn't until I came to the States when I realized how awkward and uneasy most musicians started to feel when they had to play music and or improvise in these odd time signatures. Based on my experience and education for the past almost 30 years, I've developed a comprehensive method, which I taught in more than a few universities in South Florida, for teaching students how to better understand and feel these meters. This method's intent is to introduce the students to the variety of odd time signatures and their variations through a simple rhythmic concept rooted in the folk music and tradition from Bulgaria and the countries from Eastern Europe. The foundation of this method is the basic beat pattern maintained by the Bulgarian folk drum called tapan, where the bass of the downbeat is usually played by a thicker wooden stick and produces a lower pitch sound similar to the kick drum sound, and the upbeats are performed by a very thin stick often made out of a tree branch, which produces a high-pitched sound similar to the snare drum. So a typical 5/8 pattern would be played as boom, clack, low pitch, high pitch, low pitch, high pitch, which in essence is reminiscent to the basic 4/4 backbeat pattern used in rock and jazz pop music. Boom, ba, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, in which the 2 and the 4 are being played by the snare drum, and 1 and 3 being played by the bass drum. After internalizing the basic rhythmic patterns, the student's goal should be to begin to feel the rhythms, the grooves, rather than counting the beats. With the help of various exercises, patterns, and grooves, the student will become much more comfortable and eventually will be able to apply them at will. One of the most common issues with the odd time signatures is the counting. There are a few different suggestions, different ways one can approach counting in the odd time signatures as a beginner. One thing is of utmost importance, though, knowing where 1 is. In other words, the beginning of the pattern, and keeping track of the specific combination of groupings inside the meter. Here are a few examples with different methods of counting in 7. Whether that's 7/4, 7/8, or 7/16, basically is based on the tempo. In other words, in lower tempo, most likely they will be written in 7/4, in medium tempo will be written in 7/8, and in faster tempo will be written in 7/16. So the first method is where we actually count every single beat. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This particular method is not recommended since counting in quicker tempo becomes extremely difficult, as you can imagine. Also, the length of the numbered beats makes it very hard to remember and feel. Think about counting 11, 13, 15, or even faster tempos and with multiple beats in it. Obviously, it will become very, very impractical. The second method, where we actually group the beat or the meter into groups of 2s and 3s. So, for example, 7 will become 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. This one is based on the idea, again, that each odd time signature is a combination of 2 groupings of notes, with 2 notes and with 3 notes. So, for example, the 7 could be 2, 2, 3. It could be 2, 3, 2, or 3, 2, 2. There are basically 3 possibilities. And although in slower tempo, mathematically speaking, this could be perceived as a combination of various simple signatures. For example, 7/4 could be thought of 2/4 plus 2/4 plus 3/4. The musical result will not be the same. The musical phrase or the rhythmic groove will dictate whether we have an odd time signature, for example, 7, 8, or 7/4, or a combination of a few simple ones, 2/4, 2/4 plus 3/4, or 2/8, 2/8 plus 3/8. For example, think about it. The most simple and the most basic 4/4 meter is not really a combination of 2/4 plus 2/4, is it? And the third method of counting that we're going to present here is the one where we use the words short and long. Short, short, long, short, short, long. This method of counting is more intuitive, although not perfect. Here the counting is based on the main beats of the time signature. For example, in 7/8, we have a short one, another short one, and a long one. A short one will be the quarter note. The second quarter note, another short one, and the third one, which is the dotted quarter note, the long one. So again, the 7/8 or the 7/4 will become short, short, long, short, short, long. While there's no issue here pronouncing or counting the word short because the one syllable word is associated with one quarter note, there's no way to establish how long one should prolong the pronunciation of the word long, which makes this way of counting a little bit more approximate rather than exact. Nevertheless, in quicker tempo, this way of counting, feeling, becomes much, much easier. And here's a longer odd time signature placed through all the 3 methods of counting. For example, 13/8. The first method will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Obviously, it's very awkward. The second way will be combining them in groups of 2s and 3s. So in this particular pattern, we have 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1. We have 3 short groups, 1 long group, and another, and again, 2 more short groups. And the third method, when we call it short and longs, becomes short, 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 long, short, 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 long, short, short. There are a few other methods that I'm using in my book, but regardless which method of counting a student might choose, excluding, of course, the first one, after a while, he or she will become more comfortable with the actual pattern, combination of beats within the meter, and the counting should become more of a subconscious event. There's no right way of counting. One should try and experiment for a while with each one of them and see which one feels the most natural. It is important to mention that there are many other ways of counting. For example, Indian musicians count odd meters in a very different way than the above mentioned ones. So here's a simple melodic idea where we're going to transpose it up and down diatonically as well as chromatically. Here's an idea which we're going to actually combine two different patterns and create a phrase. And here's another one where we're going to use a pattern and try to apply this pattern on various chord changes. In other words, we'll try to adjust the notes a little bit so they would fit the particular chord change. Here's also a few piano comping patterns along with the left hand bass patterns. Here are a few bass patterns. And here are a few simple drum patterns. I hope our comprehensive method for improvisation in odd time signatures for all instruments will help you become a little bit more comfortable with this odd time signatures, odd time grooves. And eventually they will just feel as normal as any other one. Thank you very much, and I hope to hear from you soon.